Oh, you know what they say, when it rains, it pours. And today, well, I've just had another unit come in. This one's a Technics receiver, Technics AM/FM receiver. It's an older Dolby surround, not a Dolby digital, but an older generation one. Client says the fan's not working. It's going into an overheat mode. So we're going to check this one out and see what the problem is. This one's an GX550 Technics. And the complaint on this one is it looks like the fan may not be operating properly. It says getting over temperature. So I'm going to have to run this thing at probably fairly good volume to heat it up to see whether the fan is coming on. This one has a fan in the back. If you look on the back of it, there's a fan. They didn't have much in the way of ventilation on the top because it was forced air. So it's possible that the fan is not working and it's going into an overheat condition. So I'm going to have to run this thing. I'm going to run it without the camera running, obviously, because I'm going to have to be playing some music here. Actually, I guess I could plug my CD player into it and pipe some royalty-free music. I'm still probably going to have to run this at a fairly good level, though, in order to get this thing hot to shut down. So I'll be running this thing for a bit without the camera running, and we'll pick up when it faults. Well, it has more problems than that. Listen to the left channel as I adjust the volume control. The control is bad. So I got to clean the control on this anyway. So I'll start by taking the top off it, and we'll clean up the controls. But I'm thinking maybe the motor for the fan is no good. That was a common issue on some of these machines. Oh, the relay's kicking it out. I betcha. It's this is usually the power modules. I bet you. What do you want to bet that we have connections on this that are problematic? Besides the volume control that needs to be cleaned, I bet you if I open this up, take off this access panel, which has never been removed on this. How I know that is because you'll see here that it's actually, they just punched it, but they didn't punch it all the way through. And with Technics, this was like a factory seal, so they would know if someone's been into it or not. And what you did is you just had to break these tabs, and then well, I'll show you. Gotta get a smaller screwdriver. Grab one that was just a little bit too big. This one might do the job. But what you did is you just pop these tabs open like this to service these things. See, and then what you did is when you were done, you turned it around and you put it on this way, and you found a screw to go through it and screw it down. It's the other way. I turn it around a bit. I turn it around this way. Put it on this way. Put those tabs under there, and you see now this will line up with the screw hole. So then you just find any screw, which I'll dig one up here from somewhere. Anything that will fit in there. And you just attach that, put a screw in there, self-tapping screw. But that's how we knew if the unit had been ever serviced, because someone was in there, they would break this apart. So this is the first time this has been opened. Let's inspect these solder connections here, because I bet you these are bad. Let me just find something to move this with. I bet you these are all bad here, like this one here. You can see the cracking around them. Very common problem on these units with solder connections. Would go bad and cause it to cut in and out. Look at this one right here, right in the middle of the screen here. Down, where are we here? Down here. Right? Those don't look too good. Same with those ones. Let's fix those connections up, and then we'll see if this thing still cuts out. Because when I tapped it there, the speaker relay was cutting in and out. That's why the sound was going off and on.
That your wife will be calling. This is her now. I would probably say it is best if you do not answer this call. She will be giving you headache for sure. She will be asking you for money. She will be telling you she spent money. Probably the best you just leave this phone to ring until battery runs flat and then you just run.
I tell you, 7 minutes later on the phone, trying to explain to my wife how she's over at her friend's place and they're trying to play a movie on the DVD player. 7 minutes! 7 minutes to explain to someone how to change the input on their TV from HDMI to component. It's not that difficult. Just press the input button on the remote. There is no input button. No, not the cable box remote. The TV remote. Then they're pushing buttons and are you pushing a button? Well, we're pushing a button. Which remote? Well, we're using the one for the DVD player. No. Not the remote for the DVD player. The remote for the TV. 7 minutes. That's 7 minutes I'll never get back. Actually, now I know how the agents at work that have to deal with customers phoning in doing stupid things like getting their TV on the wrong input. Now I know how they feel, having to try to walk them through and give up in frustration and send a technician over to change it for them, just because trying to walk some people through the simplest tasks on the phone is like pulling teeth. So now I'll give a shot of cleaner into these volume controls. We'll rotate the control a few times before powering it up. Okay, now time to power this thing up and see whether the relay cuts out and it goes into protection like it was before. Also, the volume's nice and clear now. So I'm going to shut the camera off while I run this thing till I get it hot, so that I can get the fan to come on to make sure the fan's working. I don't need to blast you guys out because I know that the mic on this thing's pretty sensitive, and if I crank it up, it's just going to distort anyway. Hear the noise from the fan? I wonder if I turn on the B speakers whether the fan will come on. No, it has to sense the load. Okay. It has to sense the load. When it senses the load, the fan comes on. The bearing is noisy. Oh, maybe you can hear it. There we go. Got the B speakers on, but no speakers plugged in. You can hear the fan. I think we need to check this fan motor out. What do you think? I think so. That fan motor is sounding pretty loud. So the fan cover just pops off on this thing, just like this. And there's a little motor inside here. It's just a little crappy little DC motor. That comes off like that. There are 3 little tabs that you squeeze together, and the whole fan assembly will just pop out the back. We pop the blade off by just pulling it off like that, and then the motor can be pushed right through the back. And it's just a standard little DC motor like you'd find in, guess what? A CD player. Let's see if I can find one. I have another motor here that will probably do the job. Put the motor inside here. I don't know whether my contacts are going to line up or not. I may have to make up some new ones, but let's just put the fan on. This one spins nicely. I'll hook it up to my power supply. I want to see how smooth this one runs, and then I'll see if I can transfer the connectors over. Otherwise I'll just have to hook up wires and hardwire it down. But oh yes, this one here has got lots of air. That was me pulling it through. It touched the the blade there. We'll try this one. I'm just going to see if I can get the contacts for the original clips to attach to this one. Oh, this motor's a little deeper than the other one. I have to clip this little pin down here a little bit to make it fit. This new motor is a little bit deeper than the other one, so hopefully it's going to snap in. that should hold this in place. I'm going to just use my soldering iron and I'm just going to melt a bit of the plastic here, just to fuse it just a bit of the edge here, just because I don't want it to come apart. One of these clips is kind of buggered up a bit, so I'll just melt over a bit of plastic here on the seam. Not enough that it won't, if it has to come apart again, it can pop it apart, but just enough so that it won't, it's not going to fall apart on its own. Okay, we'll put this fan back in and snap it in place. So the whole thing just slides in like this. And that should do it. We'll put the exhaust cover back on. And a couple of screws. Now we test the unit. I'll put that bottom cover on as well, and then we'll test the unit. So to replace the service cover, don't do that. One of these ways it fits. That way. Lines up with that pre-drilled hole that was put there at the factory for just that time when this thing has to be serviced and someone has to open it. That was their way of knowing, has anybody replaced the outputs on this thing? Because you had to snap the cover off to get at them. It would have been nice if other companies like Yamaha had done the same type of thing. Sony gave us a nice hatch. So did Panasonic, you just had to open it yourself. But Sony gave us a nice hatch right from day one for changing output transistors and stuff. And then there's companies like Harman Kardon, which put a hatch there, but that wasn't where you needed to get at. You needed to get at the regulators, which were buried under about 5 other boards. Terrible design. Okay, let's see how this thing is performing now. I'm gonna run this thing up loud for a bit to get the fan to go. Yeah, fan's working. If I cut the music off, you'll probably hear the fan stop. Nice and quiet. There's a lot of air on here. Maybe we'll get the air compressor and blow this dust out of here. Thumbs up. Fan's working. Units repaired. Problem, of course, the fan wasn't the problem. The problem with this was the ICs, the power modules in this case, and the regulator transistors down here had come unsoldered, cracked. Very common problem. When I was working in the business, I did literally hundreds of these. And when they went bad, you got the high heat warning. But the fan motors did go bad on this. This one with the bearing was noisy, so I got another one out of an old CD player. Same motor, about a millimeter higher, so I had to trim off the back of the cap just so that it would snap in. But hey, this one should last for a while. So that's this unit repaired. Get the top on this thing and then send it on its way. This is the one that called me today when I was working on the JVC. I got a phone call. Fella said, "Can I bring you my receiver?" So he'll be happy and get his receiver back in time to watch a movie on it tonight. Does anybody even use these things? Pro Logic? Oh well, it's fixed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.